Okay, we're going to talk today about the fact that a Gantt chart is not a project plan. This is a book I put together. Basically, it's a guide to greater success in managing projects, and it's based on experience that I've had in situations where the organization just did not provide a project plan, just provided a Gantt chart with a list of just activities, with no details on those. In some cases, that's pretty good. What's your own experience? Do you use detailed project plans when you're managing a project? Do you receive detailed project plans that explain to you everything that has to be done so that it can guarantee success? Do you continue to do the same types of projects over and over again with just a slightly different outcome? Do you do very unique projects all the time? Do you have any control over your plans? In some organizations, there are other individuals who are doing the planning, not the project manager. So everything depends on the organization and the type of work that you're doing. What does PMI say about project plans? Well, I'm teaching a course on PMP certification, and so I'm pretty much up on it. But every project must have a detailed project management plan, is the way that PMI states it. And most of the PMBOK is dedicated towards putting together a detailed project management plan. Also, Prince 2, which is a very big European project management methodology, also agrees in the same thing. A lot of effort must be spent on a detailed project plan. But do you really have to spend that much time? And first of all, what is a detailed project plan? A detailed project plan is a description of the work that's going to be done to successfully complete the project. In other words, it's telling everybody this is what you have to do. It's helping to get a buy-in from every individual who's involved in the project. It also provides the rules for the governance of the project, telling everybody, again, this is what you're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is why we're going to do it. In that, you're organizing your communication plans, so each stakeholder knows how they're going to receive information about the project. You have your change control methods. Change control, of course, is very important for the success of a project. So the project plan details exactly how you're going to manage change. And the same thing with risk. You have to talk about how you're going to manage risk and what do you do if a risk occurs. These are all part of your project plan. Now, a Gantt chart. Microsoft Project is a tool that's used by almost everybody, as well as tools like Primavera and others. But what you're getting from a Gantt chart is just a bar chart that shows tasks against dates. Okay, it can show completions, it can show resource responsibilities. Sometimes they're used for that and sometimes they're not. It's a good way of looking at how a project is going to run, and it can be used as a way of measuring where you are on the project. But what's the important concepts behind the success of a project? Okay, for your project to be successful, the first thing is you have to understand what the value to the customer is for the project. What are you bringing to bear? Projects are successful when they meet the needs of the customer. They may not be on schedule, they may not be within the budget, but they met the needs of the customer and the customer is happy, and that's what's important. You want to be able to inspire people to work on the project, to do the job that they can do the best possible way. You can use your skills to build great customer relationships and improving business processes. And the most important way of concept behind project success is having logically planned projects. And of course, you should always look for excellence in everything that you do. Now, how do we define a project? Well, it's called a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique project, result, or service. Now, besides PMI's straight definition, I usually expand this to define a project as any endeavor that has a definite start date, a specified completion date, and funds or resources that are allocated to it. The project management process is basically all the steps that are required to validate the project assumptions, approve a project charter, create the project plan, get approval for your project plan, and I like physical sign-offs to get people committed to doing it. You have to be able to control and execute your project, and then you close the project and hand over the product to the people who are going to use it. And of course, a review of what happened so that you can learn from the lessons that occurred and use that to do better the next time around. And of course, you've seen this diagram before. This is the standard diagram that shows how a project works, the interrelationship of the various aspects. You have business planning and IT planning that's continuous. Your project concepts and definition are continuous. Continuing project planning and looking at risk. You execute your project. When you're executing your project, you're updating your project plan as needs change. And of course, once you're finished, you go on and maintain the product that was developed. Now, we talk about project plans. People think that putting together a project plan is difficult. It's not really difficult. In the cases where you do the same type of project many times, you start with the project plan that you used before. In often cases, a lot of the project plan details are just standard documents that your organization already has, like communications or risk management. These are things that you can just take from a library or copy and paste into your own project plan. And take an existing project plan from your historical documents and just tweak it for the needs of your current project. So it becomes very simple and something that can be done within a short period of time. If this is the first time you're doing this project, you have to build a new plan. Now that does take some time, but as I said before, corporate standards can provide many of the common information requirements of the plan. The project charter that you receive, or should receive, also provides much of the information that you need. So putting together a detailed project plan is not a difficult, time-consuming task, but it is something that you should do to ensure the success of your project. Now, we talked about project plans. Now, what is a project plan? Okay, project plans are normally defined as documents that provide information about the project. So we'll start with the background. Where does the project come from? Why is it being done? What is the scope that we're trying to work within? What is the final deliverable that we're trying to accomplish? What process are we going to use? What kind of project organization are we establishing? Then you should have a list of at least the major deliverables in the project so everybody understands what you're trying to accomplish. You have project activity description. Every activity, every task in the project should be identified as to what you really mean by that activity. Just having a title is not necessarily satisfactory. In many cases, you have to have a paragraph description or more of what you expect work to be done. Same thing with deliverables. You have to have a description of what that deliverable is. What is the acceptance criteria for that deliverable? Having acceptance criteria identified in advance means less problems when it comes time to get acceptance of that deliverable. You have to have good communication plans so everybody knows when they're going to receive information about the project and what type of information they're going to receive and what format it's going to be in. This is a standard document that can be used for every project. Same thing with your risk management plan. How are you going to handle risks? How are you going to identify risks? What methods are you going to use to minimize risks? Your resource plan is a section of a project management plan that tells how you're going to acquire resources, how you're going to manage them. Your project schedule, of course, is a project schedule. The same thing with the budget. Where is the money coming from? How is it going to be used? So these are just some basic concepts with what a project plan looks like. Now, when you're putting together your project plan, you have to validate all your assumptions. So when you receive a request for project management assistance from either a client, the project management office, or somebody else, the project manager has to validate that request to ensure that what's been identified can be met. Does the organization have the skills required to actually do the work?